Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. And if you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much for listening today. Today is March 19, 2023. I wanted to come here, guys. I don't think I ever spoken about this, but it's time overdue. I think that now with the new Netflix documentary that has come out about the disappearance of flight MH370, the Malaysian Airlines, I think this is just something to be speaking about, and I think we as the public, right, looking from an outside perspective, I guess you can say, we shouldn't be silenced about stuff like this, right? And before I continue, I gotta say, when there's not enough information, right, we tend to kind of like create our assumptions, and the more the time passes, right, assumptions can sometimes lead to conspiracy theory, right? And there's nothing like that. It's just looking at it with the truth. Something, you don't go grocery shopping and bring groceries and then go to you get to your house, go to the open your trunk, and there are no groceries, right? Somebody knows something. Things don't just disappear. People don't go missing out of the blue. At the end of the day, when something is missing, somebody knows something about it, okay? So this whole thing with the disappearance of flight MH370, is so crazy. So we all know this happened back in March 8th of 2014, right? It's been a while, guys. So many people still have no answer what happened with their relative, with their friends and family that were in that flight. I think I was writing some notes here, but you know, I think it's so sad. And like I always said in all of my videos, life is so unpredictable, right? Anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. One day we're here, the next day we don't know. So you always have to be right with God. Number one, we're so concerned. We think that we can manage our own life and like control what happens to us and things like that. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. Like, it's like sometimes, we're always so like resistant at something. It could be many things, right? It could be a workplace, things like that. But it's just, you have to just have your faith in God. Your only hope, your only truth, the only the only source of hope in this life is Jesus Christ. So why are you putting that on the back of your head? We're so concerned. We take care of our bodies, right? We take care of everything, right? Financial needs and things like that. We take care of our cars and our house and things like that. And then when it comes to Jesus Christ, everybody's like putting that on the side, which is like your number one thing. That should be your priority. Life is so unpredictable, right? Anything can happen. And these people, everybody that was aboard that flight, man, I tell you 100%, maybe not all of them, but maybe 99% of them had no idea that something like this could happen to them. They were looking forward to life, right? They were flying probably to meet people on business trips, probably say to their family, let me get this trip done and I'll be right back, and we'll to take care of whatever it is that they were planning on doing in their life. Even the pilots, right? So the thing with this flight, um, you always want to look for a motive, right? And you look at the people who were controlling the plane, the original, right? They left with two pilots, one experienced pilot and the 27-year-old pilot. And then these people researched their life and all of that, trying to find some type of clue. What is the purpose? Why would any of them do that, right? So the older pilot, we understand that Sahiri, I believe his name was, we understand that he was married with three kids. So I don't understand how people can believe that the idea that somebody who has a family have three kids waiting for them at home. I mean, having a dad as a pilot must be like a dream come true. Like, I'm not trying to put any other career like down the drain, but not everybody gets to say, hey, my dad fly planes for a living, right? He goes into this big plane and he flies. Like, imagine that in the mind of a kid, right? And he had three young kids. So for somebody to assume that this man has something to do with this. It's just crazy, why out of nowhere he's just gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna take the plane down, I'm just gonna do something with it. And not only that, but when you have somebody perhaps that is new in this career, you're training them, why would you do that to them, right? Why would you put them through that type of like, not only that, but like, why are you gonna ruin their life like that? In the sense that when somebody's new at a career, especially flying, right? They're they're trying to, you know, you put when you're training somebody. That's my point. When you're training somebody, you always see if you are an experienced person at whatever it is that you're training somebody new at, you kind of see yourself when you were younger. And then even the days go by and you're training this person, you're like, man, I remember when I was like this. I remember those. I asked the same questions when I was starting my career like you were. So it's almost like you want the best for them. You want them to kind of like reach that level of, whatever it is that you are now. And, I'm going to give them the best advice because I don't want the thing that happened to me for them to do that. I want them to be trained well. I want them to get all the experience that it is that they need. So why would you, like, what is the motive for him to do something so bad like that? And then, having somebody besides his family, having a young pilot looking up to him, right? So I don't think the pilots have, this is just my opinion, right? I don't think the pilots have anything to do with this. So you look at um 227 passengers, right? And 12 crew members. And I understand that this happened in 2014, 9 years ago. And yes, I'm sure they searched to everybody, but you understand that um, if it's not the 12 crew members, there's somebody that was in that flight, right? And the other thing is like, it's either they were following direction. This is my theory, right? And I understand we have to be so careful. But they were either following directions or something tragically happened that they couldn't they couldn't like manage it to the point that they eventually lost the gas, right? They run out of gas and eventually crash, right? And the reason that I'm saying that is because they were able to find pieces from this plane. And could that be a setup? Absolutely. A plane that big with I mean, think about 227 people, a space, and a plane that carries 227 people. That's, you know, that's very big for you to just find one wing flap, right? And nothing else. It's so obvious, like it's almost like a setup, and it's just crazy. I think that another thing too, like, you compare it to what happened, right? Obviously you cannot help but compare it to what happened in 9/11, right? So you look at that, right? You hear, like, for me, I have, when 9/11 happened, it's my first day in college, right? So I got traumatized by that, even though I wasn't personally affected by it. So I had learned so much about it, everything that happened. I had heard, the calls that they receive from the plane and from people in the towers and all of that. So when you look at what happened on 9/11, right, and you look at the whole purpose of these people, the hijackers, taking this plane and driving it to New York City, right? When people are on a mission like that, I think you understand what I mean. When they're in a mission to make this massive, you know, um, whatever it is that they call it, right? It's such an evil act, right? That's what I call it. But we understand that these people in their head, they're being, you know, they're being tormented by the devil, right? That's why they're motivated to do things like that, right? So when they're doing something like that, they're not just gonna do it where nobody knows. It's like, if they're gonna do something so massive like that, they're gonna make it public to the point that they're gonna take it to a big city like New York, right? Like they're not just gonna do it just for a plane to never be found. You know what I mean? Like if they're in that type of mission, if they were hijackers, they're not just gonna do it just for like when hijackers take over something like that, you understand they either go to like a bank, right? They go to a school and they do it publicly. They're trying to get attention for something, whatever it is that they're trying to call their mission in life, I guess you can say. They want to make it more public. They're not just gonna do it and just, have the plane completely disappear. So this is why I don't believe it was hijacked. I think it was ordered. Okay, I do believe this is something else, and the reason behind it, eventually we will know. Um, we don't even know like what's the reason. So if this plane was ordered because there was a turn, this is why I'm coming through. There was a turn in this plane. This plane made a huge turn going away from its original direction, and you can look at documentaries, right? The Netflix documentary about it too. And this plane made a huge uh, turn away from its direction. So it could be so many theories, right? But the theory that they're presenting, saying, it could have been like a fire that broke out, right? Excuse me, like a fire that broke out. Perhaps, there was some type of emergency that they didn't know how to manage. But when you have an aircraft, right? It is 2014. We're not talking 1982 when technology was not up to this level that we are right now. That you now go anywhere, you take a photo, and you go home, and then you get, like you go to the mall, right? And you go to the mall and you enter stores, you don't buy anything, then you get home, check your emails, you're getting coupon offers from these people, and you're like, what just happened? Like, how do they know me? Like, oh, and you're like, oh yeah, what a coincidence, right? That's what we say. What a coincidence. I was just at that store. They're tracking your every move, right? So how is it that in 2014 we have a plane who who says good night, right? That's the last word that the pilot said. Everything going according to plan. And now this plane is disappeared with no answers. There's no information to say, hey, this is exactly what went down, right? How is that even possible? Are we like believing everything we're being told these days now? We're not doing no more research anymore. Like, it is not. Somebody knows exactly what happened to this plane, and I do believe that this plane was ordered, um, because you don't just. It's almost like you're driving down the road, right? You're driving down the road every perfect day, and then you're going somewhere specifically, and out of nowhere, there's like an authority figure. You see the flashing lights and you see the flags, and they're telling you gotta turn around and go down this other street. You're like, I'm supposed to go this way. You can't go. Something's going down this way that you're turning. You have to turn the other way. The fact that this plane made that move, it tells you something happened. And what I was saying before was that if something would have happened, like they're saying perhaps a fire or whatever it was, right? Why there was no calls for help? 227 people, and I understand that when you're in a plane, I haven't gotten in a plane in a long time. I understand that when you're in a plane, they order you. I don't know if they still do this. This is how long ago I was flying. I took a flight, but they order you to turn off cell phone, right? They say no electronics device, whatever. But I think that doesn't last the entire flight. Out of 227 people, not one person tested somebody. Just for, I don't even know if I'll be able to send this, but I'm just going to send it. I'm going to type it, and when it finds signals, it and be like, there's having an emergency on this flight. I'm on this flight, and they're having an emergency. 227 people in 2014. None of them, because everybody, I mean, I remember getting my first phone 2000. It was a long time ago. I mean, it's like 1999, 2000 that I got my first phone. We all have phones, right? So in 2014, on this aircraft, 227 people saw an emergency happen, okay? And none of them, just for the sake of it, didn't take out a tablet, didn't take out a phone to send a quick message to say there's something going on this plane. There was no call for help from the pilots at all, from any crew member, okay, not even the back of the plane crew members. So I don't believe there was a fire here. I don't believe that something like that happened. I believe that somebody, so this plane was ordered to turn the other way, okay? This plane was ordered to turn the way. There was no call for him. I mean, like, I'm thinking right now, this is so crazy. Because, like I told you guys, I researched what happened in 9/11 because, you know, what I was when it happened, right? I was actually in New York when it happened, first week of college. But what I'm saying is, like, I remember listening to the calls specifically from flight attendant Betty on, right? I don't know what flight she was in, but she called and she said, we're being hijacked. She said, there's somebody got stabbed, there's smoke in the cabin and things like that. She was able to call. So if something like that would have had happened, um, you know, I don't think it's hijack. I think that some type of authority figure got was were flying something, maybe one or two people or maybe more, who knows, right? And yes, this is a little stretch, but when you start, this is why I get to this point, right? When you start discarding the pilot, when you start discarding you know the 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 pilots, hijackers, right? Like I told you, hijackers are doing missions like this. They call it mission, right? Works of the devil. They want to make it public. They want to have an audience, right? They're not just going to do it and like let the plane never be found and that's it, right? They want to make it more public, right? That's why the 9/11 hijackers went to New York City, right? They want to make it known, right? So when you have you know if somebody, the flight is going okay, right? And this is, I'm not before getting too much, into this theory that I had come with. For there has to be some type of order that was done, right? Some type of authority was in that plane. Who knows? Could have been, right? It could have been secret agent, whatever it was, whatever the reason it is. We all know there is an agency that knows exactly what happened, right? And this plane was ordered to turn the other way. The way that they turn like that, it tells you it was ordered. I believe the passengers were, because there was no call for help, right? Not even an attempt for an email, for any, like, we understand perhaps you're not gonna get signal, perhaps you're not gonna be able to send anything out, right? But you're still in panic mode, right? You're gonna assume, "Yeah, I'm just gonna type it, and if it goes, it's gonna reroute until eventually it's being sent at some point." But 227 people to be completely under control, right? Is something else, because if you compare it, right, and I know this is a stretch, but if you compare it to what happened on 9/11, when you have passengers on those flights, making calls, right, and the flight attendants in the back of the plane making help calls, they knew exactly what was going on. So some type of lie was told to these people on this flight. Some type of lie, right? So somebody was there and they were ordered to turn the other way. And, you know, and I'm trying to look at my notes here. And the thing is that flap wing that was found on, I think the island is called, um, what is the island called? I think it's Reunion Island. I think it was called, yeah, Reunion Island, right? that flap of a wing that was found, it's like we're just gonna throw this out there just to tell them, you know, it was it was just, this is, we found something, so that means this is exactly what happened. Case closed, let's continue on with life, right? And this is what I think that if we're taking away, you start cleaning out people, right? You're like, okay, it's not the pilot, they were not hijacked, it's not the crew members, the other crew members, so what could happen? Go down the list of the people that were in the flight, right? I do believe that there were some very important executive on that flight, so go and see what was in the flight. What is the purpose of, if that's exactly what happened? What would be the purpose of something like that? Um, if they do it once, they're gonna, if they do it once and people believe the story, right? That, oh yeah, it's just, they just crashed and never got found. With all this technology that we have these days, it's just, that's just what it is, and that's it, right? So let's do another one, right? Perhaps we might hear another one, God forbid, right? I'm not trying to scold anything or say anything like that, but all I'm saying is that um, it's so sad, everything that happened with Airlines, and I hope, at the end of the day, right, somebody knows exactly what happened. Somebody knows exactly what happened, and everything comes to light. Everything comes to light. Whatever is done in darkness, we know it comes to light. I hope that we get soon, because now, we're stirring up the waters again, right? People are talking about it. I have, once in a while, I will be like, let me learn more about what happened with Malaysian Airlines, right? How is this even possible, right? And I just started to think, man, if now that we have more people talking about it, right? They're stirring up the waters. There's a new Netflix thing out there now. Perhaps, there's somebody who's saying, man, these people are not letting it go, right? They're not letting it go. It's time, to come clean and reveal what happened. Where are these people? What are all these people? 227 people. Where are they? What happened to them? Right? So I hope that soon we will know. Like I said, everything that's done in darkness will come to light. And I pray for every family out there who had a missing loved one. What a nightmare that would be. Um, Waiting for people at the airport and they're never coming, or seeing them, waving at them goodbye, to know what happened eventually, to perhaps years after not even knowing what happened to them. This is insane. It's unacceptable. Okay, somebody knows something. Somebody knows something, and for them to say, we found a piece of this plane near Reunion Island and there are no witnesses, right? I went online. I just was, before I came here and talk about you guys, I went and I was looking at this island called Reunion Island. How convenient. Reunion, where are they going to, right? If you think about it, the debris, the first MH370 part to be identified by French assessor, this large piece of debris was found. Guys, this is a clue right here. I just told you. I didn't put the two and two together because I'm like, that's a very quite interesting name, right? you know why are we not going over there and checking every spot of Reunion Island? Missing flight MH370, a visual guide to the parts and debris found so far. On March 8, 2014, flight MH370 vanished from radar shortly after takeoff from Kuala Lumpur en route to Beijing. The plane is believed to have crashed in the Indian Ocean. It's made to believe, right? All lives of 239 crew members and passengers, but it says 239 here, but the first MH370 part to be identified by a French assessor, this large piece of debris was found washed up on the beach on Reunion Island by a local man. Reunion. island. Are you kidding me? How obvious is that? Reunion. What are they getting reunited with? Who are they meeting in there? Who will order that, right? Or around that area, right? It says here that this local man, John Big, more than a year after the plane disappeared, the flaperon is a 2.7 meter long movable part on the trailing edge of the wing used to increase drag for takeoff, okay? And I'm looking at my time here, excuse me. So it's like, okay, um, nobody saw anything from that. And I can understand the brick can travel, can drift, right? It maybe it came from a different place, but there's no sign. Like, who's checking the earth line, the earth space and in that area that they didn't see this huge plane coming through, right? It like obviously went the other direction. This plane did it almost like a U-turn completely. It was going this way and then it went completely the other way. And it's like, what? Where are you going? Like, what's going on? And nobody knows anything about it. This is just way too obvious. And I understand this is part of the plane because they match up some type of code. You know, they were able to match the code and match it to the plane completely. And so like I said, there's somebody that knows something. I really hope that soon we will know exactly what happened to Malaysian air flight. Like I said, the waters are being stirred up. Speaking of Indian Ocean, the waters are being stirred up again, and I hope that these families and us, right, as the public, get the answer that we need soon about this flight. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel and listening in the podcast. And I hope that tonight you'll be able to, pray for these people that were affected by Malaysian Air Flight 370 and pray, get right with God, guys. Life is so unpredictable, right? We just never know. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day, whatever time you're listening to. God bless. Hi everybody, this is Julissa. I'm here to invite you to my podcast, JulissaDesigns, and it can be found on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can join me every day as I make episodes of the latest news, real life stories, and I also share my favorite Bible verse. Hope to see you then. God bless. Everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to know more about me, you can always visit www.JulissaDesigns.com. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.